Welcome to the Beefy Boys Breakdown. It's episode 92. We're going over UFC Austin Kattar versus Emmett. And it was a absolute amazing fight night. One of the better ones in recent memory. I mean, yeah, I enjoyed it better than a couple pay-per-views so far this year that I paid $75 for. Like, as far as like watchability, as far as highlights, as far as knockouts go. I mean, it was, absolutely packed to the gills. And my partner Harrison will be joining me any moment now. And yeah, the prelims were absolutely fantastic. And sometimes when that happens, the main card can kind of fall short to compare. But we didn't have to worry about that last on Saturday. And here's Harrison right now.
Howdy, howdy.
Welcome back to episode 92 of the Beefy Boys Breakdown. And we're going over the main card of UFC Austin, Emmett versus Kattar. And, man, it was a fun main card. Like I was saying, when the prelims are that insane, the superstition and you kind of wonders, like, dang, did all the juice for the whole card get used up in the prelims? Like, is this going to be a boring main event? No, these matchups, I kind of really didn't think that. I thought we were still in for some fantastic fights, which turned out to definitely be the case. And, yeah, man, super stoked on this main card.
Dude, I thought the main card, like you had been saying earlier in the start of the video, when you get such a good prelim card, it's almost like you wonder, like, is there enough juice out there to, like, propel this card to continue to be this good, or is this as good as it can get? And the best moments have already passed us, so appreciate it for what it was. You know what I'm saying? Like, smell the flowers when they're there. But also, like, man, this the main card lived up, I thought. Even in the decisions, two non-unanimous decisions on this main card. And a lot to get into in both those fights, and then obviously 4 finishes. Great main card. And to start it off, a Beefy Boys absolute favorite in the bantamweight Beefy Boys breakdown, right? The quadruple Bs.
Man, I'm not ashamed I don't have like a little can of Dr. Pepper, man. I'm slacking because, my boy Adrian Yanez fucks with Dr. Pepper hard. And he's one of our favorite bantamweights, one of our favorite really fighters, one of our favorite prospects. I mean, we're shoveling Cole and Yanez. I mean, now the cool thing is, I'll get to those takes here in a second. But, yeah, we love us some Yanez.
Yeah, and I mean, he's the minus 300 favorite in this fight. He's fighting Tony Kelly, who missed weight by 2 pounds like a real hoe would. You know what I mean? Sorry, I'm biased. But he's the plus 250 underdog, so not expected to win this fight by any means. I
did have Yanez on my parlay, so I actually put my money where my mouth was, and I actually got him at minus 270, so I got a little bit better value than he finished at.
I think a great pick on the parlay too, because minus 300, obviously a favorite, not the biggest favorite that's going to crush your payout as far as how the parlay works, especially on yours that were 5 and 7 legs, I believe it was, right, or 6 and 8, something like that.
8 and 5, yep.
8 and 5, okay, yeah. So whenever you're getting a multiplier that fat off just the amount of legs, you don't necessarily have to pick underdogs.
Exactly.
1 or 2 can literally mega multiply those, you know what I'm saying? So, like you said, you did have the one underdog, and that one did hit. So you kind of had really, really solid style parlays built. And I mean, if it wasn't for the opening part of the night, the 5-leg hits, and it was a gasser. But, but to that point, I thought that when this fight opened up, man, you could tell Yanez was clearly the better striker, right? Like, he controlled distance better. I felt like he was in and out faster. I thought that Kelly's footwork was nice, and it kept him safe at the start of the fight when he was fresh. And then as soon as he started to lose a half step, a quarter step even, Yanez was able to get that right range and start tagging him. And just tagged him up for like a minute.
Yeah, I got to say, though, this one made me pucker up a little bit. I was sweating this one a little bit. Not too much once the fight started, but, like, leading up to it, I was like, I like Yanez a lot, but, there's a lot of different styles and body types and shit that he hasn't seen yet, and I thought Tony Kelly might be a little bit of a weird matchup for him, which, I'll go ahead and say it proved not to be the case. But, another first rounder. Now, this fight, like I said, the history will probably remember it a little one-sided. But Tony Kelly was getting his licks in, and Yanez did get a little busted up as well. He said it was from a clash of heads. Watching live, I didn't see that. Now, if it was from Clash of Heads, I'm not saying it's not. I'm saying Tony Kelly was also landing some shots, like, and causing some damage.
You know what I just realized that I never knew?
What's up?
Adrian Yanez beat up one of our buddies.
Who?
He fought Hickey and knocked him out in the first round.
Are you serious?
Yeah, March 9th, 2018, Nathan Trepanier.
That's honestly hilarious because me and him are not buddies anymore, and he did me dirtier than anybody's ever done me ever. So that makes me chuckle, and it makes me like Yanez.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, okay. I didn't want to like ride the fence too hard, but hell yeah, let's go, Yanez.
Yeah, no, he got me for about $4,000, I think.
Yeah, like I didn't want to make it all public in case you didn't want to. So, but yeah, fuck that guy. Adrian Yanez knocked out an enemy. And good for us. I did not realize that. I just looked at his fight record because I was going to say, like, we've seen him win 6 UFC fights to be kind of his contender series KO that was 40 seconds in the first round, like literally starched a guy. So 6 times he's fought in the UFC cameras. Yeah, I was just looking at it, and bingo, bango, bongo, KO, not a KO/TKO, a flatline KO. Like they just wrote KO. So must have put him out cold 1 minute. Or, I'm sorry, first round, 4 minutes, 56 seconds in. That was on a Vicente Luque card.
That's wild, man. That's really wild, man. It's been a long time since I heard that name. But, man, back to the fight, back to the business at hand, man. After a little bit of some back and forth, man, Yanez gets the left hook, drops him, and then he lands some brutal finishing shots and gives him the double birds, which is proof for like an epic photo op. Like that picture is legendary. I hope that's like on his next UFC card. But he finishes him, drops him with the left hook, puts him down bad, and
brutally finished Kelly. I thought the ref could have stepped in a little sooner.
Yeah, you know what? But I thought it was fine how it was. And
I mean, I wasn't mad at it, but I was just thinking like he was kind of done already. Like it was the body language of a guy that was done by the time he was getting finished.
Definitely that. And but yeah, I mean, it was a little bit of a competitive fight for as much of a fight that lasts 3 minutes and 49 seconds can be. But yeah, Yanez gets the minus 300 win. Hits that leg of my parlay, and it was weird because I thought Yanez has had like bigger, maybe not bigger as far as name goes, but better knockouts. I don't know. We've been high on him this whole time, but as far as this one seems to really get him over. I don't know. He was getting a lot more ESPN run and just, I don't know. I feel like this win did a lot for his career, which I'm stoked on. It was on a main card. Maybe that's the difference. I think his past wins have been on prelims. So he's on the main card. And
I mean, he's 5-0 in the UFC. Like, I think it's time they start giving him real tests. You know what I mean? And like we've said before, he fights a lot. He's very active. If you think about 19 fights in 6 years, that's pretty damn good.
Oh, that's
professional fights, but especially with 6 of those being UFC level fights. I think it's time maybe he's getting to like a near ranked opponent kind of a guy. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Like now he's in the one division where that's like harder, like easier said than done.
I completely agree. Like he could be 6-0, 7-0 before he really gets a challenge number 14, 13, 12, 15, right? Like that's fine because the bantamweight division is so deep. But I kind of feel like he's the guy that's on the top of the outside contenders.
I agree. But like Umar Nurmagomedov fights next week. Like there's so many guys. We say that like so often. Like there's so many. Can we pull up the top 15 real quick, bantamweights, and just let's just take a look at it. It's the main card.
So I'll just go 10 back, right? So Pedro Munoz is 10. He's obviously fighting Sean O'Malley, who's 13. They're booked up, which Lozon pulled out of the Cerrone fight, so that sucks. As Frankie Edgar's number 11, Ricky Simone's number 12, Jack Shore is number 14, and Rafael Sansal's 15.
Okay, so I mean, hey, Yanez Shore's a banger. You can do the classic feed the old guy to the young guy and go the Assunção matchup, but that's still Yanez's hardest fight for sure in the UFC. And I mean, yeah, he's definitely not. I mean, him and O'Malley would be super sick, but like I said, he's already booked against Munoz. So yeah, no, I mean, I would love to see him get a ranked guy. there's a ton of studs that aren't ranked that I think could still do a lot for his career. Maybe some older guys with some bigger names, but I don't know. I think regardless, he's going to keep beating who they put in front of him, man. I mean, he's been a favorite, I think, the last two. I mean, I think he's getting over a little bit. I think whether they want to do slow build or fast build or whatever they go, I think he's ready for whatever route.
Yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with you. I just think that, like we just alluded to in reading those names, 135 is hard to crack.
Hard to crack. But you could also say he's done more heavy lifting than Jack Shore has. I mean, Jack Shore.
Yeah, but Jack Shore's undefeated, too.
Yeah, no, and we love us some Jack Shore. So that division is insane. Insane. But, yeah, I guess we can keep it pushing. We got Julian Marquez plus 145 versus Gregory Rodriguez at minus 180. Or, no, he's at minus 170. I got him at minus 180. And like I said, I don't know. Chael always talks about a steroid eye test, saying it's undefeated. Mine's not undefeated. I'm sure there's guys that I can't detect, but I don't know. Just being in some locker rooms and knowing what I know, but there isn't a ton. But I don't think Gregory Rodriguez is natty, and I'm not even joking when I say that's why I bet on it. Like, I'm like, this guy is on substances that you're not allowed to bet on. So, like, that's the guy I'm going to bet on. Like, I don't know. and I got to be real. Like, on a little bit, I'm not the biggest Marquez guy. Like, I mean, I know he has some fun wins, and some people like his personality. I'm not the biggest Marquez guy. And I know Gregory. I don't know. I have my suspicions about Gregory Rodriguez. I honestly thought minus 170, minus 180 was like good value. Like, I was pretty confident in this one.
You're more confident than I was. I think I also like Julian Marquez. Just personality-wise, like you alluded to, like I think he's a fun dude. But I think when you actually go to MMA skill set breakdown, you're right. Gregory Rodriguez is clearly the better skill set, technique-wise. Also is off all the Brazilian acai sauce on earth. So, yeah, how can you bet against it, right? Like, he's technically better and just dripping with sauce. So, like, you gotta bet Rodriguez. That's hot Rodriguez, you know what I'm saying? That boy's hot in the sauce.
His piss is hot in the sauce, man.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Now, as far as how this fight goes,
a fun banger.
A banger on Marquez's chin. Marquez put up a fucking chin of the year performance in 3 minutes, I feel like, because he absorbed so much damage. Now, he's not chin of the year, right? Because he didn't last. But the shots he was eating and standing through were insane.
No, he definitely ate a lot of bombs and, jet fuel bombs. And
like, I wrote the fight was 90% Rodriguez, 10% Marquez chin.
Yeah, but also Marquez did land like a few shots, like not a ton, and obviously he was never winning, but like he won a couple of exchanges, landed a couple of bombs. Now Rodriguez has a chin of his own, and that's another reason why I like him. Like he has a chin from past fights. He's eating bombs.
I think sauce helps your chin too, bro.
I think so. But no, so I mean Rodriguez, man, he's a very dangerous guy. What this was middleweights, right?
Yes, middleweights.
Okay. Yeah,
there's no fucking way Rodriguez should be a middleweight. It's ridiculous.
He's huge. That's why I had to double question myself. But no, I mean, he's a world champion jiu-jitsu. I think like he's like literally one of the. But he only fights in stand-up bangers. It's really wild because he knows he can always fall back to that. Or like if somebody does try to take him down.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know if I like that fight style from Rodriguez. And he lost to Armand Petrosian in a split decision that I think Weibo scored for him.
I think so. Yeah, no.
So and he beat Dusko Todorovic. He was the guy that took his O, and he beat Jun Young Park, Iron Turtle, with a KO. Yeah. Honestly, I feel like this guy should be 4-0 in the UFC and be just sliding. Like the dude's a monster.
No, I agree, man. Like I said, it sounds like we're joking. Like I literally don't know how long he's gonna be around. Like I don't know how long he can keep ducking USADA. Unless,
you'll read on his fucking record, he has 4 losses. But when I tell you that his two losses were in the first 3 fights he had, it's like you understand that's just coming out too early, right? It was 2014. Those losses, it's a long time ago. Well, then you think about 2020. He has a loss to Jordan Williams on the Contender Series. He's
That's a
past
lot,
Jordan
bro.
Williams now. Like he
Oh
obviously has
yeah,
grown past Jordan Williams, and then he has the split decision loss to Armand Petrosian, which
that was
we both
crazy.
disagree with. So it's almost like he has one legit loss. I actually like really feel like the Jordan Williams KO, and then aside from that, I think he's grown past Jordan Williams. So for me, Gregory Rodriguez, kind of a dangerous 185 guy, being only 30 years old.
Oh, I agree. He's literally so good, and yeah, I love the minus 180, minus 170 value on him, and he ends up getting the finish with the right hand at 3 minutes and 18 seconds, but he had literally hurt him like 4 times before that. Like you're right, like it was an ass whooping, and I probably made it sound more competitive than it actually was, but like yeah, because he had Marquez hurt like 4 times, and then finished him on the fifth, I think.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Insane. Yeah, no. I mean, Rodriguez definitely dangerous. You know, I said 185 pounder, and like I said, if he can keep ducking USADA, he's going to go on a run.
No, 100%, man. Like, I think I really like Rodriguez. Like, I think if he keeps getting close to not favorite money / maybe underdog money against certain guys, might take those odds all day.
Hammer it for sure, man. But yeah, let's keep it pushing, man, because we got something to talk about on this next one, man. We got some absolute hammers who name and fame don't match like talent and potential, and like I don't know, like I hate to be that guy that's like hardcore knew this was going to be a banger, but kind of, right?
No, it's true though, man. I'm so glad you said it that way because, like, for me, I had this fight circled like major fight in the 155 division. Like both these guys are young and are like up and comers with skill sets that really have like belong in the upper division of the weight class.
And it's like I also not betting it with a 10-foot pole, not touching it with a 10-foot pole. Like
hell no. I would have leaned Ismagulov, but not confidently and not near enough to bet at minus 180.
Exactly. You took the words out of my mouth. Yeah, I wasn't betting this one. Gun to my head, probably going Ismagulov, but at the minus 180, it's like I may just take the value pick with Kudaladzé at that point.
Yeah, like if you told me minus 135, yeah, that's where I see Ismagulov in this fight. Barely edging it out.
No, for sure, man. But yeah, fight taking place in the lightweight division, which is cool because for so long we talked about the lightweight division as, you know, the powerhouse, which I think that's transferred to bantamweight and like in 170 as well. I think lightweight is probably the third best division at this point. And
oh man, you can make case featherweight's above lightweight.
You can make the argument deep wise if we're talking depth and not in like activity, right? Because that's the thing. All the lightweight guys, like we're still counting Conor McGregor fights every 2 years. We're counting, you know, we're still trying to count guys like Tony Ferguson. And
here, look, yeah, as far
fought in 18 months, and you know what I'm saying? It's like
Brad Riddell like isn't fighting that often. Dos Anjos is old as hell. So like you said, Dariush hasn't fought in a long time. Makashev's on the rise. Like I mean,
still
the top
fight that often, though.
The top, yeah, that's the problem with the lightweights. They don't like to fight each other because they're so scared for their rank. That's why, essentially, I feel like welterweight might honestly be a little like I think welterweight is better than lightweight because those guys actually fight each other.
100%.
And the champion is dominant and established, so it makes it like a circus below him. And then if you can get to the top of the ladder, you get to your opportunity to talk to him.
And Usman fights, I mean, as of late, have just been. And like,
and honestly, man, like the featherweight division is kind of like that too, top heavy. But I mean, you get guys like Kattar, Emmett, who are obviously the head of this card that we're breaking down right now, and the guys like Arnold Allen, Yair, Ortega. So like you have this young blood mixing, and then you have guys like Evliev, Mitchell, Chikadze, and Topuria on the outside edge looking in, hunting. And so it's like. That division is probably spicier than 155. 155 is kind of written on paper besides Islam being the champion.
Well, and 155 is like all the big names, but like you said, they fight so like not often. And it's like, honestly, the guy who fights the most is Michael Chandler, and he'd be losing. So it's like they can't really like do much with that.
Poor Michael Chandler, man. I think the move for Michael Chandler and the UFC, by the way, just real fast before we dive into Kudaladzé and Ismagulov, is that they're gonna use Michael Chandler to try and beat Conor. If he beats Conor, they're gonna have him beat Nate Diaz next, or vice versa. He might get Diaz first and then Conor second. And I think they want him to beat both those guys so they can just cut the chatter out. So
or
I feel
get beat by them and build them back up, right?
yes, yeah, like offer them a stepping stone back into the top 5, or
Yeah.
get beat and be done.
No, for sure, man. I can see that. But man, Demir Ismagulov, 23-1, dude. What a record! What a record!
What a monster!
What a record! And then Kudalodze, I mean, has a beautiful record as well. But 23-1, Jesus fucking Christ! Let's get to the actual X's and O's, bro. How'd you see round 1?
And Ismagulov 5-0 in the UFC. Just want to put it on a just side note. But X's and O's, super important how we score this fight. Just to let people at home know, it is going to be a split decision. So think about each round very, very closely as you now watched it, or if you have watched it as you did then did watch it. Man, I thought the first round super back and forth. I thought the damage could have been considered equal. You know what I mean? Like Kudalodze had a little more damage, but Ismagulov was getting hit super hard, and I wasn't going to give the eye test of like a guy being cut open more, even though he was landing the harder shots. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know.
Right.
I kind of went back and forth. I did think Kudalodze had the bigger moments in the round, and I actually scored that round for him.
Oh, I agree. I was about to say, you did a great job explaining how close it was, but I definitely fell on the side of Kudalodze because at one point he had Ismagulov like hurt. Like I think it's fair to say he had him hurt. Now Ismagulov recovered and
Recovered super well, and honestly fought back well for the rest of the round and fight past that point.
And then also I knew going into it, it was kind of a striker versus grappler. Kudalodze, I mean, he can grapple too, but he wants to strike, and Ismagulov can strike, but he wants to grapple. And the takedown defense from a fresh Ismagulov, or takedown defense from Kudalodze against a fresh Ismagulov when they were dry, I thought was very impressive. But I know you don't get points for defense, but I'm saying it also helped keep him getting that damage off because he was able to keep it standing.
You know, oddly enough about this fight, both the Vegas usual judges, Chris Lee and Doug Crosby, that were on this fight, scored this 10-9 to Kudalodze in the first. This guy, Jason Staffen, who we haven't scored a singular round with him this whole night, like whether he be 10-8 and we were 10, whether he be 10-9 and we were 10-8, whether he was 10-9 the opposite way, we literally on a controversial round have not agreed with this guy. He scored at 10-9 as Ismagulov.
That guy's a problem. That's crazy. I think that's the first time it's ever happened in the history of the show, I do believe.
That one judge singularly scored it opposite us, and which, for anyone at home, like we watch every UFC fight we have for 2 years. Like, if you don't think we know how to score a round, or at least have a close, valid opinion on how a round could be scored, because we disagree plenty.
Yeah.
And we talk about close rounds. Wasn't that close of a round, is my point, right? Like,
well, I actually have the word close in my notes, so I guess I can't agree with you too much there. But, I mean, I thought the damage was clear. And like I said, we knew Ismagulov wanted to wrestle, and he couldn't.
And he was getting stuffed, and Kudalodze was landing big shots off the disengages.
Totally agree.
So it was like strategically, like this guy's getting his moments as he needs to get them.
I totally agree. Now, round 2, once again, I thought was very close. Now, what was crazy is that Ismagulov, in my opinion, in round 2 started to outstrike the striker. That jab was crispy and stiff.
I think Kudalodze got too comfortable. I'll be super honest, man. Like, I noticed it when I was watching it, and I rewatched the last few fights on this card again. Right, I rewatched the main card today, and once again, I really think that he got too comfortable on the feet in the second round and let Ismagulov get a rhythm. And once Ismagulov found the rhythm, he was fucking going to work in the second round. I thought it was a 10-9 Ismagulov round, no question. Every judge saw it that way. I'm sure you saw it that way.
Yes, 100%. Now, granted, I do have the word close. Like, Kudalodze was landing some shots and having some success.
I think it was the most clear round in the fight.
100%. Yeah, but like you didn't have the word close in your notes. I had the word close.
Not for that round.
Okay, fair enough.
That's the one round I didn't. In the first, I thought it was close. In the third, I thought it was close. In the second, I thought that Ismagulov got into an actual rhythm and was like dodging or parrying enough shots and landing his own shots and dictating the way the fight operated enough to where I was like, wasn't as close as these other rounds have been.
Fair. All right, cool, man. So we're both in lockstep so far. Did any judge? You said all judges get out with Ismagulov. So we keep it pushing to round 3. And man, I saw it really. Ismagulov started to get his own damage off and really started to get the impactful strikes, which
started busting him open.
Yeah, he started really doing damage, busting them open, landing most impactful strikes.
Crazy, because I wrote crazy close round. Like, I thought this round was insanely close.
I have the word close in my notes. I'd agree with you. It was close.
This I thought was the hardest round to score of all three.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that statement, 100%.
And I could see the case for Kudladze in saying that.
Yeah,
I don't love it. I don't love it. I scored it for Ismagulov. I can see the case for Kudladze there.
Yeah, and I kind of like by default have to like logically agree with you if I'm just, you know what I'm saying, follow my own logic, you know. So I agree, man.
Now to give Kudladze 1 and 3, I don't know.
Well, see, as a guy who gave him one, I would. Like,
you'd have to give him 3, right?
Well, no, because I didn't. But I'm saying that's the only plausible way I can see it in my head. Because as a guy who gave Kudladze 1, giving him 3 is giving him 1 and 3.
But I gave him 1. But I can't really see 3. I did write crazy close, so I can't see giving him 3. I don't know what I'm saying. Now, okay, here's my point. One judge gave Kudladze rounds 1 and 3, had it 29-28. Kudladze. One judge gave rounds 2 and 3 to Ismagulov, as we both did. 29-28 to Ismagulov. One judge, the crazy Jason Staffen that we just have vehemently disagreed with all night long on major key turning points of rounds and scoring, had it 30-27 Ismagulov. I thought Ismagulov won the fight, and I think visibly, like, the damage, like, on both of the guys afterwards showed that, like, even when Kudladze landed, they weren't near as impactful as Ismagulov strikes, which is weird to say because considering Ismagulov is the wrestler and you expect him to grapple more and get his success in grappling, which he did not. He actually really outstruck this man.
He really did. He really did.
Honestly, for me, it's a lot of coal in Ismagulov's train. You know what I mean? Like, I'll start shoveling the coal in Ismagulov. I think he is a name to be reckoned with at 55. I think he can hang with Sarukian and Gamrot, who are going to be the next main event that we see here next week. I think he is in that conversation of guys, right? So, it's a big win for Ismagulov here, and I think a deserved win. I don't think it should have been a split decision. Now, granted, as I said, close can be used to describe all 3 rounds, so I don't really have a foot to stand on when I say that it's wrong to call it a split. It's just personally how I feel.
Honestly, it's like one of those. I understand it's kind of contradictory because we feel a certain way, but it was close enough that I'm cool with it being a split. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And the right man won. Now, man, if Ismagulov had not won and Kudladze had won, I'd probably feel a different way about it.
Oh, 100%.
You see what I mean, though? Just in that reaction alone, it's like Ismagulov won the fight.
The right man won. The right man won. And then, like, let's keep it pushing, man. To Joaquin Buckley coming in at plus 190 versus Albert Duraev came in at minus 225. Now, I had Duraev at minus 220 on one of my parlays, my big parlay. And we were talking about it a little bit on the prelim, but we haven't so far on this main card podcast about we saw this one differently coming into it.
Yeah, man, I liked Buckley so much in this fight. I thought this was a fight that Vegas missed on, honestly.
That's wild because I felt pretty confident in my pick. Duraev, Chechen wrestler, beautiful record. He's either undefeated or has 1 loss. And he's the bigger man. Buckley's an undersized striker versus the Chechen wrestler. I thought it was just like kind of a stylistic thing. I felt pretty confident in it. And I'll be real, this is one where it was like confirmation bias when I saw the big Vegas number. I was like, oh, yeah, I felt this way, and it's minus 225. Like, clearly I'm onto something here, which that's a dangerous, like, way to think as a bettor. You know what I mean? Yeah,
and, I think, like, a big part of Duraev is he rattled off 10 wins in a row before this fight, right? So he's on a 10-fight win streak. Now, he does have a KO loss to Ramazan Emeev. Way back in the day. And Emeev's a beast, but right. And that's what I'm saying is like, and he's a weight class lower. So it made me kind of nervous that when I saw like the fight record, I was like, Duraev hasn't fought Vyacheslav Vasilevsky like that. That's a really good win he has. Doesn't have any other really impressive wins aside from that, and that was in 2017.
You said he's been crushing cans?
Yeah, he's been crushing fucking cans. Even in the UFC, man, against Bittencourt and Kopylov, kind of some cans, right? And so
Yeah.
now he gets Buckley, and it's like, let me run you Buckley's fight history because it's very different, right?
He's
Like,
fighting monsters. He's fighting killers.
right, and that's what I'm saying is like the iron sharpens iron, right? So you look at Buckley, he used to fight in Bellator, got cut from Bellator, won 2 regional fights, had the KO loss to Kevin Holland to start in the UFC, then got the Mortal Kombat knockout of Emperor Songanai, then starched Jordan Wright in the second round of their fight, then loses to Alicio Di Chirico, gets knocked out in that fight, which like seemed like it was just, man, maybe you're taking too many fights. That was 2 months after his previous fight. Like maybe you're just taking too many fights. Like all those fights, that was 5 fights I just named in a 6-month window.
Well, that's
He
how
took
we
5
got
fights in
going
6 months, and then he took 7 months off. KO'd Arroyo. Then he was smart again. Took 5 months off. Beat Abdul Razak Al Hassan. And now he's taken 4 months off and he's back in this fight. It seems like he's getting his rhythm. It seems like he's learning how to be a professional fighter, if you're asking me, like,
Yeah.
from a big macro perspective, right? And so with all that considered, I loved Buckley at plus 190. I thought this should have been a pick'em fight.
Yeah.
Loved him.
Hey,
Loved him.
you come out smelling like roses on this one. I mean, because it was all Buckley, man. I mean, it was really like I said, this was so bad that it wasn't even a sweat. It was just like accepting defeat on this one. You know what I mean? Like it was all Buckley. Like there was
Duraev's chin was impressive.
It's like his will was impressive, but his physical like face didn't hold up. I mean, his eyes swelled up.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
That's fair.
There's different
But
ways
like his
to interpret.
spirit was insane.
His spirit and his will was really fire. No, you're right. But I mean, from an X's and O's perspective, Buckley was just so fast. Had the power and speed advantage. Also had like the understanding of range advantage. I don't want to like sell it short and just compliment how athletic he is because we all know he's athletic. But like real talk from like a fight IQ perspective, like because he's a shorter guy, he's a smaller guy, and he's fighting a guy he knows wants to take him down, which paralyzes a lot of strikers. So like to figure out that puzzle and get his offense off against that opponent, I don't know. It was impressive to me.
His use of kicks to like really exploit range. You know what I mean? Especially against this is a southpaw conventional matchup, so their back leg was going to be super important for the guy that could land and connect in range with the back leg. I mean, it was beautiful. Like he had the range figured out, whereas Duraev, not knows a guy that can kick. It was like the ultimate answer, right? Is like if we're in a range where maybe we can't punch each other, but I can pivot on my front leg here and bring this back leg around and still reach you. Whereas Duraev could do the same. That was not untrue for him. It's just that he's not comfortable doing it, and Buckley is very good with his kicks.
Well, Buckley was also able to stuff the takedowns as well. And when he did get taken down, I think he got right back up.
See, and here's my thing, bro. Here's why I really thought this was a pick'em was that, like, I know Duraev's a great wrestler. Buckley is a plus athlete. Like, if you ever try to tackle or hold down a guy that's, like, insanely athletic, dude, it's impossible.
No, I definitely, and obviously in hindsight, but
like a guy with core explosiveness, like Volkanovski is a great example. You can't hold him down because he's too explosive. Like he's just gonna pop off.
I underrated Buckley. I had to put more respect on his name. Like I said, I guess I underrated his not his athleticism. I never doubted the athleticism or the will or the balls. I doubted,
his X's and O's.
Yeah, the technique, especially against a new style of wrestler that he hasn't necessarily faced a lot of. I don't know. I saw him. I didn't see him get beat up or finished. I thought it was gonna be boring lay and pray, just hold him down. But he was able to stuff the takedown and just let the hands go and end up getting his own finish.
I think Buckley gets in a lot of striking wars because he's so hard to take down. Like Kevin Holland couldn't go to the ground with him, and that's a Travis Lutter black belt. That's Kevin Holland loves to always tell us. So for me, it was I think Buckley's such a plus athlete. Wrestling is not going to be effective against him. He's too athletic for you to really get his hips and his waist and get his power off of the center.
I will always keep doubting the sides, though. I will always keep doubting.
I would love to see Buckley at 170, man. But I think part of his explosiveness is contained in that muscular physique. So I don't know. I don't know if he would go because, and we'll keep it pushing to the next fight because I think it's a perfect transition, man. Kevin Holland, a previous opponent
Well,
of
hold
his.
on, real quick, because we don't say how this fight is. It ends
Oh
in
yeah,
kind of
good
a
point.
weird
Good
way.
point.
So after round two, like I alluded to it earlier, Darius' eye is just swelling up by the second, and it's officially closed. In between rounds 2 and 3, they call in the doctor to take a look at the eye, and it is completely fucked. Darius was actually trying to like hide his face from the doctor. It was real bad. And the doctor stopped the fight. So I technically TKO, or as Conor McGregor loves to remind us, doctor stoppage.
Yeah, no, doctor stoppage for sure. Now with that considered, Buckley having his right hand. Sorry. Buckley having his right hand as his power hand, and Saruki or not Saruki, and Juraev's eye on his left eye being closed. It meant that he couldn't see the power side shots coming. He was going to be finished in that fight. I would almost guarantee it. But however,
Yeah.
not my place to say, but I think a rightful doctor stoppage.
Totally on board with the doctor stoppage. No more damage needed to be taken. It wasn't that competitive of a fight, especially going into the third round, the end of the second. It was really starting to just the gap was widening, not getting closer. You know what I'm saying? Like,
No, exactly. If you want to keep it pushing, I'm gonna grab a White Claw real fast.
oh yeah, you're good. So Buckley wins plus 190. So I did lose that leg in my parlay, but the parlay was already busted anyway. But I still went 2 for 8, so that's pretty. I mean, 6 for 8, only missed 2, so that's pretty dope. And yeah, coming up next, we got a welterweight matchup of Kevin Holland, finally in his rightful weight class. He was always fighting at 185, but he'd weigh in at like 182, and he like wouldn't cut any weight, and he'd be fighting these monsters that walk around at 220, and they would wrestle him and hold him down. And he's a great striker. He's one of my like. I don't want to say he's one of my favorite fighters. I'm a big fan of Kevin Holland, though. Like I like watching him fight. When I see his name on a card, my eyes get big and I get stoked and I do a hell yeah because I like watching Kevin Holland fight. I'm sure a lot of you guys do too. So I'm just saying I'm a big Kevin Holland guy and I'm super stoked and he's in what I consider his rightful weight class. And he's coming in at a big favorite, minus 305. I had him on both parlays. I didn't like the number, but I felt really confident in the matchup. He's fighting an older guy in Tim Means. Really, the UFC is kind of easing him into this welterweight division, which is, I don't know, how do you feel about that? Because he was fighting top guys at 85, and now he's dropping down to 170, and he gets Cowboy Oliveira, then Tim Means. 2 older guys, 2 vets, 2 unranked guys.
I'm really glad you asked that question because I don't actually enjoy or like what they're doing for Kevin Holland. I think if he's going to fight guys like Vettori at 85 and Brunson at 85, why in the fuck would he be fighting these guys like Tim Means and stuff? No offense to Tim Means, but hey, man, he should be way more than a minus 305 favorite. You threw him in your parlay. Good looking out on your side. But ridiculous to me that he's even fighting these guys.
I won't go as far as to say ridiculous. I'm more gonna say peculiar. Like because the UFC, I don't think they're doing it for no reason. Like maybe they doubted he could make the cut. They didn't want to waste a big name or a main event spot. But he's proven it twice now. Maybe they wanted to use him as an executioner to fucking just get these old guys out because Cowboy Oliveira retired after their fight.
Maybe you're right, but like, man, Jeff Neal, Li Jingliang. I know Magny's booked against Rachmanov.
Next week,
those would have all been great fights for Kevin Holland. All the same, like I don't understand why he's being fought against Tim Means. I guess you want to build his name, but you don't need to build Kevin Holland's name.
No, he's
He does it for you. He does it for you. He's a main eventer. He does it for you outside the octagon anyway. It's literally Friday night after they weighed in. He chased down a dude in a robbery, tackled him, and held him for the cops to get there 15 seconds later or whatever it was. But literally is like, yeah, he's the Black Batman. He's Black Man. It's crazy.
No, he's wild. No, he's awesome. I literally just bought a Kevin Holland card this week. Like I'm a fan of him.
Me too. And he's a big Beefy Boys favorite. And aside from all that, I just think the UFC's. I mean, Tim Means, great name, has a great fight record. So to be on the record of guys that have beaten him, like you're in an elite company of fighters, I get what the UFC is doing. You don't necessarily have to do it this slowly.
Yeah, man. Especially like I said, the Cowboy Oliveira. All right, test it. Kind of dip your toe in the waters at 170. And yeah,
I
I don't understand the build. You know what I mean? From like a build perspective, I don't understand how it helps the UFC. I don't understand how it helps Kevin Holland. I guess if Tim Means were to beat him, that obviously inserts him into more of a conversation of being relevant. But I don't know.
Man, it's so weird for Kevin Holland, right? Because like he KO TKOs Oliveira in the second. Diving into this fight, or before we dive into this fight, he has the headbutt no contest to Kyle Dawkins that we referenced earlier.
Yeah,
And he has the losses to Vittori and Brunson, unanimous decision. It's not like he got finished by those guys at 85 that are top 5 85ers.
big guys too.
Why would a guy that's fighting top 5 85ers and not necessarily getting ragdolled by the top end of the division come down and fight unranked guys 15 pounds lighter than where he's at? And he's not a big weight cutter.
Yeah, I don't get it, man. I do not understand. Like,
I just wanted to provide context as far as like opponents for people, because then diving into this fight, you know what I mean? First round, I mean, Tim Means looked sharp, and it wasn't even near sharp. He looked dull compared to Kevin Holland. He looked sharp for Tim Means.
Well, like Kevin Holland was definitely letting the hands go. I mean, landing hard. Like he looked like an 85 when he landed. Not what. And like the power translates down a class.
I think that's right though, because like he didn't cut weight at 85. Like he literally walked it like 187 pounds. So, and now at welterweight, he said he cut still like 8 pounds in fight week. So it's like he should have that same exact power. He shouldn't lose any power.
No, he doesn't at all. And yeah, Tim Means was on the wrong end of it. Now, Tim Means was able to like clinch it up at moments. I think he may have even got a takedown, but Kevin Holland was able to get back up.
Yeah, couldn't keep him down. Got to take down. Yeah. Literally let him back up in 15 seconds.
And the damage just so overwhelmed that from like a scoring perspective. So yeah, 10-9 Kevin Holland round one. But Tim Means was able to, because it was one-sided, but the clinch and the takedown kept it from being a 10-8. You know what I mean? But on the feet, it's like if you're scoring just the feet exchanges, it's a 10-8, right? As weird as that is, it's a weird thing to say, but you know what I'm saying?
No, 100%. I'm with you.
And then
I am 100% with you.
And then in round two, really early in the round, Kevin Holland catches him with the right hand and finally hurts him. It was kind of an accumulation thing, but it was also a hell of a right hand. And you could tell Tim Means was really hurt. They kind of get in a little scramble, end up on the ground. And we all thought Tim Means' path to victory was maybe to submit Kevin Holland, but the turntable.
The turntable, the tables were turned. Shoe was on the other foot. The foot was in the shoe. Yeah, I mean, he got the Darce choke after he rocked him. I mean, it was a super deep Darce, like so deep that it wasn't even like tight from a bottom perspective.
Yeah.
It was so much pressure on the side of Tim Means' neck and like held against like in between his shoulder and neck that he was like going out from a blood choke.
Okay, because I was looking at it like there was like a little gap. Like it wasn't like the tightest, from just untrained eye.
Because Darce is a blood choke, right? So it's not an air choke. It's not like you can't breathe. It's like you just start to pass out because the guy's cutting the artery flow from your blood off.
Yeah, and Kevin Holland he submitted him 1 minute and 28 seconds into round two. I think it looks even good on paper, too, that he submitted him. You know what I'm saying? Because if he knocked him out, it's like, of course. But the fact that he submitted the guy who a lot of people thought was the better grappler, that's pretty dope,
Yeah, and he referenced that he wouldn't have taken a fight against, let's see, it's deep in his career. Let me see if I can find it real fast. He took a fight against Rafael Lovato, his 6th fight ever, because he was like, I believe in my jiu-jitsu. Well, that guy's won world championships, was the Bellator middleweight world champion. He's also fought Thiago Santos and lost the decision.
Yeah.
That was his UFC debut.
He takes on anyone. On anyone. And,
I mean, lost to Brendan Allen, obviously, in that submission, but otherwise is undefeated in the UFC minus Derek Brunson and Vittori.
No, exactly. And we have respect for all those guys. And he called out Sean Brady, bro. First off, I'm super glad he did because that's fucking sick, and that fight would be awesome.
Number 9 in the division, that's about where I can see him fighting.
Also, that's what people would have met. I guess the naysayers would say would be a nightmare matchup for Kevin Holland, and he called it out himself. So he got ahead of the curve, right? Like it's like when Eminem clowned himself first. Like he got ahead of the curve. he struck first, right?
Now, in response, I could see the UFC giving him Chiesa, Neal, or Jingliang.
Chiesa would be fun because they both would talk a little bit. Like that'd be a fun lead up, and like
Right.
that would be fun. That'd be fun. That'd be a main event, right? That's a fight night main event.
I think that's a Fight Night main event. Yeah, I think him and Chiesa, because they both main evented Fight Nights before. I don't see why that's not the matchup to make.
I actually like it. You changed my mind. Sold. I'll take it. I'll take it.
Let's go.
All right, man. But yeah, no, a fun one. I mean, a great win for Kevin Holland. As far as Tim Means, it's not like I'm down on him. I thought it was a really bad matchup for him, and he lost to the better man. I mean, he still showed he had a little something in the tank. It wasn't like he was just complete like garbage, but yeah, I mean, he wasn't going to win that fight, in my opinion. Put him in my parlay. Like, I mean, there were like if he catches Holland in some weird sub or some injury, or I mean, I guess you can't never say never, but. I don't know. I loved Holland, and we can keep it pushing because
let's dive into this main event. This is main event, man. We have a lot to talk about here.
Honestly, I need to pour another drink. I'm sorry.
Get another drink. I'll introduce the lead up. I'll introduce Emmett and why he's so dangerous. So we have Kelvin Kattar, established fighter for championships. You know what I mean? Like Kelvin Kattar literally has fought some of the best dudes on the planet. Max Holloway, he's fought Chikadze, he's fought Ige, Jeremy Stevens, Magomed Sharipov. Like, you're talking about a guy that all of his UFC fights, man, he debuted with Andre Fili. The Shane Burgos fight's one of the best of all time by a lot of people's estimation. Oh, I'm sorry, that's Emmett whenever Emmett fought Burgos, but Emmett did bring Burgos into this camp. So you're talking about a guy, Kattar, that's fought the who's who, the best of the best at 45, has never not held his own, 23-6 record. Now, Emmett, on the other hand, 18-1 coming into this fight. 17-2 coming into this fight. I can't read. Has losses to Desmond Green in a split decision that I'm sure could be scored either way. Did get finished by Jeremy Stevens. I'm sure just stepped into the wrong punch. But for a guy like Josh Emmett, crazy good record as far as who he's beat, how he's beaten him. Just not a very active guy is really Emmett's problem, right?
Yeah,
like Emmett has 20. He has 20 fights in 10 years, 11 years. That's injuries. Yeah, injuries for sure, but he does take a lot of time between fights, which, I mean, sure, I respect it. Clearly he's good with money, or else he wouldn't need to be taking fights very often. My problem is I wondered if activity would hurt him here, because Kattar's a very active guy.
Yeah, probably more active than he should be after some of the wars he's in, to be honest.
Yeah, and Kattar's chin is unquestionable, and Emmett's chin is very solid. Emmett's power is off the charts, and Kattar's 1-2 is insane. So to paint the picture for people at home to dive into this fight, Calvin Kattar's the minus 230 favorite, ranked number 4 in the world at featherweight. Josh Emmett, plus 195 underdog, ranked number 7 at featherweight. Dominic and I have talked about this for 2 weeks in a row. The value in this fight was lost by Vegas. This fight could have been a minus 130 for Kattar and a plus 110, plus 115 for Emmett, and been about right.
I agree, because like Kattar was going to be the favorite, name value factors in a little bit. He's the higher ranked guy. I mean, he's an absolute stud. But Emmett, to act like Emmett, I mean, you're going 2.5 to 1. I mean, you're kind of saying it's not going to be competitive. You're kind of saying that it's like going to be one-sided. And Emmett's way too just tough, skilled, strong.
Too much power in his hands.
Yeah, for sure, man. I definitely disagree with the money line. But I also didn't like. I also thought Kattar, definitely had a path to victory. Now, this fight was obviously in the featherweight division. And this fight, some were trying to paint it as a number one contenders match. I don't see it. I never, drank the Kool-Aid that it was a number one contenders match. I just didn't view either of these guys that way. I think this was the fight before the fight. You know what I'm saying? I think their next fight will be a number one contenders match, but not this one. They tried to, do some revisionist history afterwards and try to paint that narrative, but I never viewed it that way.
Well, I think as far as real history goes, we got to get into how you score the first 3 rounds. First 2, really. I think 3, 4, 5 are very clear, and we're going to have, you're going to roll the wagon out, I swear to God you will. But point being, rounds 1 and 2, man, I was seeing Twitter. Some people had Emmett up 2-0. Some people had Kattar up 2-0. A lot of people had it 1-1. How'd you fall in the first round?
First round, my scorecard looked different than a lot of the ones I was seeing. I'm just going to say that out there, a little teaser. Round 1, I had a 10-9 Kattar. The jab, the activity, the damage. I mean, he was I thought round 1 was pretty clearly for Kattar.
I thought opening up the cut was essentially the signification of more damage, right? Like, what did it signify to you that Emmett's cut and Kattar's not when they had equal strike numbers? Really, Emmett won by 1. He outstruck him 12-11. But I think the impactfulness stands alone, right? Like, you cut your opponent.
Well, and I got a big problem with this whole Emmett, what's considered a land from Emmett. Because I feel like they were counting shit that was hitting
glancing blows.
They were counting shit that hit the shoulder. They were counting shit that hit the glove. They were counting shit that hit the elbow. I've never seen anything like it at all. It was really weird how, and that's going to probably set the narrative of how I viewed this fight. But yeah, a lot of the shit that I saw Emmett getting credit for all was beautifully defended by Kattar. I was like, what my eyes were seeing and what my ears were hearing and what my seeing on Twitter was just not matching up. So I'm just going to get that out there. But I had round 1 10-9 Kattar.
So did I. I actually saw it the same way as I just spoke on. I thought what signifies being ahead in damage, right? Like, if the strike numbers are equal, one guy is cut open and bleeding, the other guy's not. I almost have to give it to the guy that's not cut because he landed the same amount of strikes. They're equally impactful, I feel like, either way. No one did anything for the first 2.5 minutes. So, in the last 2.5 minutes... Okay, great. I'm glad you asked. They all saw it to 9 Emmett.
Okay. Oh, what?
All 3. Yeah.
That's weird. That's weird.
But check this out. How'd you see round 2?
Round 2, I had a 10-9 Kattar, and I had the same exact reason. And I literally have, I know you can't score defense, but I have it in my notes because I'm note-taking the fight. Emmett's shots were hitting the shoulders and the gloves, man. Now, you can say the gloves, okay, some power still goes through and you wouldn't be wrong, but it's still not like a land. Like, I don't know, like it's defended. It's like giving somebody a takedown when their takedown gets stuffed. But I thought it was really weird how they were scoring defended strikes for Emmett as positives. And I was just viewing it as positive for Kattar. Now, I know you can't score defense, and I'm not. I still thought Kattar's jab and his damage was more. And so...
See, here's where I'm going to actually disagree, is that I thought Emmett did more damage in round 2. He landed one less strike, 19-20. So imagine they're exactly tied in strikes after 2 rounds.
There was never a time where I was like worried about Calvin Kattar. Like, oh,
no, that's not what I mean. And I don't think Emmett ever got rocked in the first 2.
I thought every time his head was snapping back with them jabs, man.
But then he would respond with a big movement and like a hook entry.
And punch the shit out of Kattar's shoulder.
Sure, but the ones that did land for Emmett, the like 4 or 5, like hit clean. You know what I mean? And I just thought that Kattar didn't do as much damage as in round 1. And by that standard, I had it to Emmett 10-9. Now, here's what's funny. 2 out of 3 judges saw that round for Kattar, 10-9. 1 judge saw it for Emmett.
Okay. No, we paint a good picture then. The first round, they were wilding.
So at this point, 2 judges have it 19-19. 1 judge has it 20-18 Emmett.
I have 2018 Kattar, which is, I'm out here on an island.
But some people on Twitter had that. Like, you're not really on an island, though. You know what I mean? Now, just to say this. These 3 judges were all 3 of the Vegas judges. They flew out: Chris Lee, Doug Crosby, and Sal D'Amato. So it wasn't like we were going to get any squirrel judges out there. Thank God. This would have been fucking impossible with a guy like Jason Schofield in here.
You're right.
Now, round 3, I thought that was Emmett's best round of the fight. I thought that round was clearly Emmett, and I couldn't even make a case for Kattar.
100% agree, and there's a lot of reasons why. Emmett started letting the hands go with more volume.
Yes.
I
And
love
Kattar
it.
wasn't going first. Emmett was going first, and that was Kattar's detriment in this exchanges because like this is the round. This is the round where the fight became what we all thought it would be, right? Where they would just let go, but Kattar wouldn't go first, and we'll see it in the next two rounds when Kattar goes first how that affects it. But he was letting Emmett go first, and Tyson Chartier, the coach of Kattar, shout out to him after round three was like he literally looked at Kattar was like, "Wake up! Like what are you doing?"
Let me ask you a question then. Was Kattar not going first in round 1 and 2? I didn't mention that, but that's what my eyes told me.
In round one, he definitely was. In round two, I think he was, but he was not getting the better end of the exchanges.
Okay. That's a good answer, man. No, yeah, you're right. Round 3, clearest round for Emmett. But that's another kind of lawyer ball argument I have where I'm like, that's what a round that Emmett wins looks like, and it doesn't look like the other
But a round he
rounds.
clearly wins because there's no argument, I don't think.
No, for sure, man.
Same as round 4 is going to be, but the opposite way.
No, for sure, man.
Because all three judges see round 3 for Emmett. Here's where I'm going to throw a motherfucking wrench at someone. Round 4 is Kattar's best round. Right 100%. Or wrong?
Yes. Well,
he tripled his strike numbers. Had him big time rocked. He rocked the shit out of Emmett with like a minute and a half to go.
Here's what I'm saying, though. Emmett ended the round really, really strong.
But it's still clearly Calvin Kattar, right?
Clearly Calvin Kattar, but I'm saying, and maybe my scorecard's controversial, I may have another round, there's only one more round left. I may have Kattar winning the 5th by a wider margin than I have him winning the 4th. But like I said, I saw this fight differently than a lot of people. We're splitting hairs.
That's I think a good point, but I think the 4th is clearly Kattar, right? Like
clearly
whether or not the 4th or 5th is more clearly him, I think it's a clear. Both are clear, right?
Yeah. 4th and 5th to Kattar all day. Like I don't have the word close in my notes. I mean, because you really also just real quick X's and O's thing. 4th round was the first time Kattar started throwing elbows, and Kattar's known for having good elbows, but in the first 3 rounds he wasn't throwing them. And we all know elbows cause damage and are impactful.
So check this out. So far, one judge going into round 5 has it 38-38, tied up. I do as well. We scored the rounds differently. He had 2 and 4 to Kattar. I had 1 and 4 to Kattar, 2 and 3 to Emmett. One judge has it 39-37, Emmett. Emmett up 3 rounds to 1.
And I have it 39-37 Kattar, right?
Right. And another judge has it 39-37 Emmett, and he gave the 4th to Emmett.
Yeah, that's bullshit. What? Yeah, no, it's bullshit.
Bro, that makes no sense.
I literally have in my
How
notes,
can you give the 4th to Emmett?
You shouldn't. But how you do is because of how he ended the round. And he ended the round very strong. I thought.
What did he do for the first 4 minutes besides get beat up?
No, you're right, and I agree with you. But I'm saying, like, if you're making that case for Emmett, I can see. I'm a guy who didn't like a lot of Emmett's work in this fight. I thought Emmett at the end of round 4 landed, but you could perhaps say some of his cleanest, hardest strikes he landed in the whole fight was at the end of that 4th round. No, I don't think it's enough to make up for it, and you're wrong if you see it that way. But I'm saying, like, I'm a guy who didn't like a lot of the other work Emmett did. So, like, I was viewing Emmett's offense differently than I feel like most people were viewing it.
That's fair. So, you had Kattar up going into the 5th. He could have lost the 5th. And still won. I had it where Kattar needed to win the 5th to win the fight. 2 judges had it where he couldn't win unless he finished him, which I think is bullshit. I think that's bullshit, especially since they don't get it the same way. Because I think 2 rounds, I think 1 and 2, you have to give 1 of those 2 to Kattar, 1 to Emmett. I'm fine with the split. I think 3 is clearly Emmett. I think 4 is clearly Kattar. I don't know how you get anywhere else.
Yeah,
right?
3 and 4 are very clear. Like, there shouldn't be controversy on 3 and 4. 1 and 2, a little murky.
Yeah, and so Sal D'Amato having it the first 3 rounds to Emmett, you can make that case. That's a makeable case. For Chris Lee to give round 4 to Emmett, that's inexcusable, right? And so if he gives round 4 to the real winner, Kattar, then we're talking about Kattar wins this round, he wins the fight. Now, as it goes, 5th round is all Kattar again, man. And I think that Emmett was slowing down. I think his gas tank was starting to deplete. I think Kattar's used to 25-minute fights. I think he's a longer, rangier fighter, so it favors him to be at distance and not have to worry about a guy being able to spring into his range, right, or into a breach of his guard, rather, because the energy's not really there to do that as often. And I thought Kattar pieced him up again for the 5th. I think if it's 1FC, Kattar clearly wins the fight. I think Kattar, I can just say from a street perspective, if you want that, won this fight.
Well,
and I scored it 48-47 Kattar.
Yeah, and I scored a 49-46 Kattar. And I also thought in round five, Emmett fought like he was losing. Emmett fought like he needed a finish. I thought he was hunting a finish, and Emmett was whiffing bigger in round 5 than he whiffed the whole fight because he was hunting a finish because he thought he was losing. I mean, I can't prove that, but I feel pretty good about saying it.
Well, and his corner was telling him he was up. Did you notice? I noticed this because I was really, really trying to pay attention. When Joe Martinez read the first scorecard and said 48-47 Kattar, Emmett looked over his corner like, what the fuck? Like, you guys told me I was up. I think he could have gone harder in the 5th or fought a smarter fight, but I think he thought he had it bagged, and he was trying to like put an exclamation point on it. And he was like, I can lose the round to try and get a highlight finish to like make myself fight for the title.
Wow,
I think that's
cool.
what they were telling him 3-1. Because Dom Cruz talked about it, and he was like, I don't think they're telling him 3-1 to take the gas off. I think they're telling him 3-1, like, you can go out and really go for some shit this round if you have to.
Yeah, man, and honestly, I will say this.
Because I think when a guy is 17-2, you're not really worried about him losing like that.
Ooh, that's wild. Yeah, fair. But like, I guess what I'm getting at is this fight was so close. I don't think any corner should have been trying to say anything definitive.
Oh,
right?
Dean Thomas talked about how it was a massive disservice to the fighter to try and tell him the score in a fight that you can't have. Now, granted, the other corner, after round 4, they were like, we have no idea how this fight's being scored. Like, they straight up told Calvin Kattar to his face, great coaching. Like, they told him to wake up after round 3 in what I thought was a close fight, and then the fool wakes up, and they tell him in round 5, no one knows how this is scored. You need to win this round regardless. I thought that was fantastic corner work.
100%. I agree. I definitely would favor the Kattar style corner. Now,
I thought Kattar won the fight too.
I thought Kattar won the fight handily. No, nobody agreed with me, so I thought I'm out here on an island.
I mean, yeah, Doug Crosby agreed with us. It was split decision, 48-47.
I had 4 rounds of the Kattar, bro.
I know, but you can make that case. You could make the case for 1 and 2, and I think people on Twitter, like I keep saying, like if the verdict app if we had it up right now, I would almost guarantee Kattar won the fight.
I saw it. No, he did, and I think it looked. I think they gave round 1 to Kattar and round 4 and 5 to Kattar. Yeah, I believe verdict did.
Which is exactly how I scored it.
Yep, I think you agreed with verdict exactly. Now,
which I think is right.
Like when Emmett, like I said, I felt I had Kattar up by 2 rounds. So whenever
I thought round 2 was the closest round of the fight too. So for you to say that Kattar won 4 out of 5, and for us to agree wholeheartedly on 3 of them, and then I just barely split a hair with you on the other round that you scored for him, it's not like we're far off on our scores.
No, for sure. And so but you got to understand from my perspective, when they read the first Emmett scorecard, like my jaw dropped. Like I was actually surprised. Like I thought, well, Kattar won a decision. Like he's back in the race. I literally, in my head, I was like, well, it wasn't pretty. It was a decision. It was a battle.
It was a dog fight, but like Kattar got it. And then you're like, what? Emmett wins?
Yeah, I was shocked and I was disappointed. And like I said, this is as a guy who was like saying a lot of nice things about Emmett the last 2 weeks. So it's not like I'm some Kattar honk. Like I'm some, you know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't like I didn't really have a dog in the race. I didn't bet this fight, so there was no sour grapes either way. I actually was kind of put my reputation on Emmett. We were both kind of saying Emmett had value, so you think I would be happy, but how it went down, I was actually kind of salty about it. Now, I guess Emmett tried to do the best he could with it. I didn't necessarily love how he handled it, but I do think he handled it well. He called for the title shot, and it's like, what after that? Like, what are you talking about? Like, and like, I mean, I can make the argument that Arnold Allen deserves a title shot before Emmett.
So updated rankings just came out 40 minutes ago. They was come out midnight, Tuesdays midnight, Monday midnight, whatever you want to call that, Monday 11:59. Central time, which is weird they do on Central, but whatever. So Emmett's now number 4, Kattar's 5, Korean Zombie 6, Arnold Allen got pushed to 7, Ortega and Rodriguez are going to fight in 3 weeks. Do you just think the winner of that gets Josh Emmett?
No,
Or rather, Emmett gets the winner of that?
I think that's
or do you think the winner of that gets a title fight?
I think I do, because we all remember how good Volk's still the title holder. Who doesn't want to see Ortega too? And Yair, like, if he wins, it's gonna be like a dope ass win. So like, I don't think
so in that case, let me ask you this: that's 4 weeks for Ortega Rodriguez. If Holloway loses, he fights Emmett. That's
sorry. Say that
right. Like, I think. Oh,
again, bro. My bad. It cut out.
If Holloway loses, he fights Emmett. Like, I think that's just in stone, right?
I think that's probably. I don't know. I just think either way, the winner of Ortega Yair is like a huge factor. Like, you literally can't have the conversation without, and that happens so soon.
Well, I think the winner of that gets next title shot.
Oh, okay.
But I'm saying the title gets figured out before then. So it's like Emmett is either going to fight Arnold Allen or he's going to fight the loser of the title shot.
You know what? After the fight, I made a tweet from our Beefy Boys account, and I was kind of joking, but like I'm kind of not. Like, I'm so salty that Emmett got that salty split that I said give him Evloev.
Oh my God, number 10. That'd be fucked.
Give him Evloev in another Fight Night main event. Turn Evloev into a main eventer. I don't know. I'm just not stoked on it.
I guess here's my logic: is I see it 2 different ways, right? If you're Dana and you scored it for Kattar, what you're going to do is you're going to make Arnold Allen fight Josh Emmett because Arnold Allen's now number 7, Emmett's number 4. Well, he just got to fight 7 versus 4 to get his chance to move up. Why don't you have to defend it? Why don't you have to defend it against 7? You were just that guy.
You said, "Oh, like why should I have to fight number 7?" Like, motherfucker, because
you just did, motherfucker. You were 7.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, no, I love that. I'm not trying to do. Emmett didn't jump nobody besides Kattar. Like, that's fair, but he won whatever. But he didn't do.
Yeah, and I think Arnold Allen can break into the challenger blockade with that win. I think Arnold Allen and Emmett's the fight.
I think you're right. I'm totally on board with that. I'm totally on board with that because he called for a title shot, and there ain't no way. And he might be two wins away from a title shot. If we're real.
Yeah, and Arnold Allen has nothing booked. But I do think that the smart move, once again, is Arnold Allen coming off of his win over Dan Hooker and being undefeated and such. Those 2 fight, and Ortega Rodriguez gets the winner of Volkanovski Holloway. Well, then just try to fight on the same card as them, and then that means that essentially, like, you guys can be the number 1 contenders fight.
Yeah. No, that would be sick. That would be sick. Yeah, I mean, like I said, if Emmett, he is within striking shot of a title shot.
I think he needs to win 1 more against, like, either prove he's the deserving number 3, 4 in the world so that he can be given the shot, or beat someone above him so that he can earn the shot.
Well, like, I guess technically Arnold Allen would be below him, but if he beat an undefeated Arnold Allen, I think that's like a caveat. I think that's
how I feel. Yeah, is like defending your position in the top 4 to show that you are a worthy challenger. Right, like to show that, like, hey, these guys out here behind us, they're out of the picture. So, like, put me in it.
Yeah, no, I feel you, man. And then next week's card is honestly, especially after this, it's going to be kind of a come down. But I mean, Sarukian is sick, and I do like watching him fight. I
love Gamrot too, and Rachmanov and Magny.
That's the star of the show. It's the Rachmanov. That's the people's main event, in my opinion.
Also, Umar Nurmagomedov, Nate Maness, 14-1 plus 600.
I'm not touching that.
I just wanted to see where you're at with it.
Umar's a beast.
Olberg and Chukwi, that's going to be a war of a fight. Like, it doesn't matter, but like, I'm just saying the fight styles when those come together are going to be insane. JP Buys, who divorced his wife Cheyenne, he has to fight Cody Durden. Man off a divorce. Let's take Cody Durden plus 100. I think that's a Beefy Boys pick.
I like Durden in that. I don't like him. I like want to see it happen. Like,
yeah,
I think
mean.
JP did Cheyenne dirty.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's just a broke motherfucker. Anyway, that's gonna wrap up the main card breakdown of Calvin Kattar, Josh Emmett. Yeah. Great episode. Next week we got next week we got Sarukian and Matej Gamrot. 18-2 Sarukian versus 20-1 Gamrot. This is essentially a low-key huge fight for the lightweight division. I believe they're ranked 12 and 11 respectively. Yeah, Gamrot at 12, Sarukian at 11. Kind of number 10 is Fiziev. Outside that, you have Ferguson 9, McGregor 8. So you're talking about these guys get to be in the mix to get a money fight for the rest of their life. So big implications on the winner of this next week. Outside of that, 13 days, live Beefy Boys in person, coming at you. Can't wait.
Reno,
Nevada. We're going to be live. Arman Sarukian, Mateusz Gamrot. Hey, guys, love you. Sarukian, minus 260. Too big of a favorite, in my opinion. Love the plus one of Gamrot. Now, outside of all that,
I'm not touching it, then. You just convinced me to not touch it. I was going to put Sarukian. You convinced me not to touch it.
Yeah, don't. I mean, too close of a fight. Now, also, sorry to these guys. It don't really matter because we break you down. We're going to be 4 days outside of Beefy Boys Live. So
that's what it's all building to. It's all building to International Fight Week, the big boy, live, the Sunday following. Can't wait, man.
What was this episode 92?
92, so it'll be 94.
Yeah, 94 live in person. The year of Dominic's birth. Let's get it.
Yeah, 94, baby, right here, man. Hey, appreciate you, my guy. Can't wait to kick it with you. And yeah, we only got one more Beefy Boys until it's live, man. I'm literally so stoked.
Yeah, I can't wait, man. I will see you again shortly, perhaps for a Beefy Boy or a Dreadful Talk on Wednesday, maybe to get some betting breakdowns on this card. As we just went over, Gamrot might be a good dog.
You might have sold me, man. I don't know. I'm gonna need to take it for a test drive. But hey, man, can't wait for next week. Can't really wait for 2 weeks, man. Have a good night, brother. Appreciate you.
Talk to you soon, bro.